CTV News with Carlyle Fiset.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Investigators were on scene near Western University today, removing what they describe as chemicals with explosive potential. That stems from a weekend arrest on campus, raising questions about student safety and communication. With the latest on the case and reaction from police experts and students, here's Rita Ismail.
The explosives disposal unit remained on scene today outside a home on Chesham Avenue near Western University as police continue to remove what they describe as chemicals capable of being used to make explosive devices. Police were led to the residence after a suspect was arrested on campus around 2 a.m. Saturday. Investigators say the individual was armed with a loaded handgun and attempting to trespass into one of Western's engineering buildings. 4 people, all in their 20s, are now facing charges in relation to the investigation. In a statement to CTV News, Western said its top priority is student safety on campus. But students we spoke with today say they weren't clearly informed and there was limited messaging.
I didn't get any emails from the school or communication about the break-in. I just heard about it through some friends, but again, very minimal communication, if any.
I think it was just sent to the people that had scheduled courses in that building. But I would have, as a student on the campus, I would have loved to have received some sort of email about that. It's definitely a little alarming. I feel like in Canada, it's something that we try to not be scared of most of the time, having a loaded gun.
Yeah, no, it's pretty crazy. I mean, they gotta really up the security, I think, here. It's especially there's all sorts of machinery, all kind of things in there if you take a stroll through there.
Meantime, police experts caution against jumping to conclusion as the investigation continues, adding that while some chemicals can have legitimate uses, the circumstances raise concerns.
Without a doubt, there are some lawful uses for chemicals. But you don't need a gun and do a break and enter to get them. So I think the issue is it's criminal, but what was it? Just drug lab type stuff. But the presence of explosives, that doesn't go with engineers and kind of doing any chemical type work. It reeks of something more.
Police say the investigation is ongoing and residents in the area can expect to see heightened police presence for an extended period of time. Rita Ismail, CTV News.
Mayor Josh Morgan pitched an incentive plan today that could drop the price of a new home in London by up to $50,000. That's from his annual State of the City address, his last before this fall's election. Daryl Newcomb has more on his message and how it was received.
In his 4th State of the City address, Mayor Josh Morgan sought to define his political record, repeatedly referring to his past commitments.
So today is Accountability Day.
The mayor cited declining crime rates and response times in justifying the massive increase to the police budget 2 years ago. And while the number of homeless Londoners continues to rise, Morgan asked the audience to stand up to represent the almost 1,500 people who have been housed this term of council.
That's what we've done as a community. That's the progress we've made. That's how we've shown that we're a compassionate community.
At times, it was a campaign-style speech. Potential criticisms he could face when seeking re-election this fall were discussed head-on, like recent property tax increases.
We made record investments in libraries, transit, infrastructure, housing, and public safety.
He also pitched a new program to incentivize more new homes to break ground. Until the end of this year, new home buyers would not have to pay development charges if the price of the home being constructed is below $630,000. The city would tap into housing accelerator funds to cover 60% of the cost, and the London home builders would pay the rest.
If we're $20,000 to $50,000 off, that price tag can make a huge difference, especially someone qualifying for a mortgage.
We're going to try something new here. It's not going to help everyone in the city. It's going to help maybe 200 to 300 homeowners get into a home for the first time.
And while the mayor's address touched on a broad range of issues, it was what he didn't speak about, at least specifically, that led to some criticism afterwards. The executive director of the Old East Village BIA was disappointed that talk of core area revitalization seemed to focus on the downtown.
Everything that was talked about with initiatives was about downtown. We're dying in the Old East Village. We are absolutely dying. We are losing businesses. We have not got the street safety. We've had 2 homicides in the last 2 weeks. I wanted to hear some substance today. So honestly, I was disappointed.
When I say downtown and core area, that includes the Old East Village. And we've got a number of programs that we've initiated to support the Old East Village. And you know that we're always open and welcome with talking with the BIA.
Morgan's Development Charges Incentive Program will be considered by a council committee next week. Daryl Newcomb, CTV News.
A CTV News survey of local police forces has determined not a single one is taking part in the federal government's gun buyback program. Anyone who owns a banned assault-style weapon has until March 31st to declare interest in the federal program, which offers compensation for turning guns into police or permanently deactivating them. Police departments don't have to participate, though, if they don't want to, and police officials say many local services don't have the resources to administer the program.
Is it taking away from local priorities? Other policing programs that are, community members here are expecting us to continue to perform. And really that becomes sort of the tipping point, the basis of whether this program is, as an administrative program, taking the place of something that is maybe more pressing for our community members.
Since 2020, the federal government has banned about 2,500 types of guns. Compensation for those weapons can range from hundreds to thousands of dollars. Local health researchers are touting a new pill developed here in London, which they say shows promise in treating several kinds of cancer. Sean Irvin has more on the pill's potential and its key ingredient.
Inside this lab at the London Health Sciences Centre Research Institute, medical investigators are once again turning human waste into human hope for kidney cancer patients. The premise is a simple one. Microbes of fecal matter taken from healthy donors are compressed into a pill and ingested. The healthy poop then prompts microorganisms inside the patient to fight cancer.
Now you have a far improved immune response that can go out and attack cancer cells.
In advanced kidney cancer patients, the team also found that poop pills reduce the severe side effects of life-extending immunotherapy.
So with the poop pills, we're able to decrease the side effects of in these patients, and they were able to still respond to the treatment. So that was very neat to see.
Before fecal transplant pills were developed at Lawson Research Institute, as many as 50% of kidney cancer patients were unable to withstand the impact of immunotherapy. Yet in the clinical trial of 20, only one participant experienced serious side effects, with researchers reporting a 50 to 60% reduction in negative symptoms for all participants. The result improved quality of life and gave some patients a chance at a longer one.
They want to live longer, but they also want to live better. So by not having a lot of side effects of these treatments with the poop pills, they are able to have a better quality of life.
The findings are the latest in a growing list of studies that show that poop pills are making a difference in the fight against multiple types of cancer.
Here, obviously, it's a little too early to talk about survival for our patients, but our hope is that we would see the same trend.
Should all go well, it will be at least 5 more years of testing before poop pills are widely available. In London, Sean Irvin, CTV News.
Federal officials are engaging with Meta, the social media giant that owns Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp, trying to get news reinstated on those platforms. Meanwhile, the parent company faces a lawsuit in the U.S. accused of deliberately addicting children with its algorithms. With more on what this could mean for local news in this country, here's Mike Lucatour.
Like many local newspaper editors in Canada, Charlie Senak's job got a lot harder when Meta stopped allowing news on platforms like Facebook and Instagram.
I hear it from our readers, too, who are incredibly frustrated that they can't find us on Facebook. It was a very quick and easy way for them to go and get their content that they want.
The Online News Act and Online Streaming Act have been called irritants by the Trump administration in trade discussions. Both laws compel U.S. tech giants to financially support Canadian TV, film, and music sectors. Instead of paying Canadian media companies for carrying their content, all Meta platforms blocked Canadian news on sites like Facebook and Instagram in 2023. Now, Meta wouldn't provide a comment about renewed talks, but did point to these comments in October.
News publishers place their content on our platforms because they get increased distribution, and then they can monetize the clicks that they receive as a result of that distribution.
Kern added that Meta was hopeful news could return to their platform. The Identity and Culture Minister says talks are preliminary.
Canada's door has always been open to have those discussions. We stand by the value of the two acts that make sure that platforms are doing their jobs and making sure people are getting fair dealings.
But even that is welcome news for CNAC.
If this does happen and we can post on Meta again, I think we'll be at a point where we can really start growing in even more ways than we already have, and with the added advantage of all the work that we've already put into it.
Last year, the Canadian government removed the digital services tax just to restart talks with the U.S. But it's unclear how far it's willing to bend with the Online News and Streaming Acts. Mike Lecouteur, CTV News, Ottawa.
The London Knights are coming off their best offensive performance of the season last weekend, led by their new leading scorer. As Brent Lail reports, his path to a starring role in the OHL started in the Caribbean.
Left side along with Will Nickel. Big good heart of the neck.
My name's Jackson Cover, and I play left wing for the London Knights.
Coming off a hat trick, the best offensive game of his career, Jackson Cover is now the Knights' leading scorer.
As Dale's been trying to teach me all year, like with a good defensive game, we'll bring offense.
A projected top 3-round pick in this summer's NHL draft, Cover has been working on playing all 200 feet, something NHL teams desire.
I want him to have the puck more. If you're down in the D zone, you create turnovers down there, you have the puck more, you get to go forward with it more and try to use your offense, which we all see his ability that way. So it's just trying to get him to make sure he gets more ice time. He's out there all the time in those situations to get the puck.
His journey to the OHL and to the Knights is an improbable one. Growing up in the Cayman Islands, he didn't even play ice hockey until he was 14 years old. 3 years later, he's a top NHL prospect.
I grew up playing roller hockey since I was 3 years old in the Cayman Islands. And then when I was 12 years old, I moved to St. Andrews College. I'd say the hardest change was the rules. So at my first ever practice or tryout, I didn't know what an icing or offside was. So that was probably the biggest difference. But then after that, I'd say it didn't come easy. The skating's a lot different. But then once I started putting my mind to it and just started working really hard, I found a love for it.
With the Knights making moves at the trade deadline, he lost a few teammates who helped him get his feet wet in the OHL. Now, it's his time to take the torch and skate with it.
We're missing a big scoring aspect, and hopefully I can stand up and be that guy.
Brent Lail, CTV News.
A local ball player tells CTV News he's been named to Canada's 30-man roster for the upcoming World Baseball Classic. Adam Hall split last season between AA and AAA, working his way back from an injury. He's currently a minor league free agent and has previously represented Canada at the junior level.
I was really excited to hear the news for that. It's good to get back with Canada. It's been a little while. I know there's been a couple of events I've had the opportunity to play for, but just hasn't worked out in terms of the professional season and everything. So, yeah, just a team seeing that you're there and healthy, I mean, that's always a good option.
Canada's first game of the tournament is March 7th against Colombia, and it takes place in Puerto Rico. Later on CTV News, trading the snow for the cold. The Great Lakes are freezing over, which could affect the rest of the winter forecast. Canada's main stock index finished higher, helped by gains in the basic materials sector. The TSX is up 80 points. In New York, the Dow added 12. The Nasdaq gained 40. The Canadian dollar climbed a quarter-cent today. On commodity markets, another big day for gold, up more than $200 an ounce. Oil up 82 cents a barrel. Bank of Canada officials held their key interest rate steady today, their first such decision of the new year. However, as Scott Hurst reports, where the rate goes from here is unclear, with a lot riding on decisions coming from the White House.
Uncertainty over U.S. trade policy and a renewed threat of tariffs continue to loom large over decisions by Canada's central bank. Firstly, the bank is keeping its benchmark interest rate steady at 2.25%. This was widely anticipated by economists, with the central bank saying economic output has remained largely in line with its recent projections despite U.S. tariffs.
There wasn't really a compelling reason either way, especially when you take into account that inflation, it seems kind of anchored in the Bank of Canada's target range right now.
But really, it is our relationship with the U.S. that continues to fuel a whole lot of uncertainty. According to the Bank of Canada, the economy is adjusting to the trade shock from our southern neighbors so far, and it is expecting the economy to grow modestly in the near term. However, U.S. trade restrictions, tariffs, and questions about the outcome of the upcoming review of the North American Free Trade Pact, known as CUSMA, continue to disrupt growth north of the border and create havoc in trying to predict the future impact on Canadians.
Uncertainty around our forecast is heightened. The range of possible outcomes is wider than usual. U.S. trade policy remains unpredictable, and geopolitical risks are elevated.
According to a new survey out today from the Angus Reid Institute, Canadians as a whole, too, appear on edge with what's coming out of the White House. Anxiety about the Canada-U.S. relationship has 4 in 5 respondents worried about the year ahead. So amidst all the trade uncertainty and a hazy outlook for the Canadian economy, many eyes will now turn to the Bank of Canada's next interest rate announcement coming in mid-March. Scott Hurst, CTV News, Toronto.
Canada's premiers are in Ottawa preparing for high-stakes trade negotiations with the Trump administration. With more on their focus today and their top priorities, here's Annie Bergeron-Oliver.
It's going to be an exciting couple days.
The gathering of Canada's 13 premiers, a sign of solidarity, as trade tensions thrust Canada-U.S. relations into a new, more unpredictable chapter.
You know, we talk about Canada true, north, strong, and free. Let us not allow other people to dictate to us how we govern.
We know President Trump's rules. There are no rules with him. So we need to focus on what we can do.
The premiers, even those who sometimes don't get along, sending a message of Team Canada unity.
We don't always agree on everything, but I think we've got a really solid base to start on.
The meeting comes days after the U.S. president threatened massive tariffs on Canadian imports, following the Prime Minister's speech in Davos declaring the old rules-based order dead.
If we are going to determine our destiny and become that leader in that middle power space, it is going to take us making those tough decisions, having those discussions like we'll have today on how we are going to allow that investment to flow, allow those industries that are creating wealth to expand.
One of the major topics on the agenda, provincial and territorial priorities for the upcoming CUSMA negotiations.
In any negotiation, there's on both sides, there's some people that are kind of out front with more bluster. We're certainly seeing that, particularly out of the United States right now. But I'm hopeful that below that, there are real and significant discussions happening and taking place. And I'm looking forward to kind of hearing from the Prime Minister on the status of those.
Discussions, the Prime Minister said today, are going well.
Relations are good. We have good conversations, good back and forth. There's a lot of work to be done for the review of CUSMA.
But that apparent optimism was met today by a threat from the U.S. administration.
I would not pick a fight going into USMCA to score some cheap political points. Either you are working for your own political career or you're working for the Canadian people.
Tonight, the premiers will sit down with the Prime Minister for a working dinner. The main meetings will take place all day tomorrow. Annie Bergeron-Oliver, CTV News, Ottawa.
Good evening. It's a cold one out there. Wind chills close to -20, -25 overnight, and waking up to frigid temperatures in the morning. Thanks, Nancy. This is Jade. Jade was out playing in the snow. Looks like she's got her ball there, enjoying some snowfall. -16 heading out the door tomorrow morning. With the wind chill again, it's going to be very frigid first thing in the morning. Not much in the way of recovery through the afternoon, but we do have some sunshine to talk about. More sunshine than snow in the extended forecast, and no big winter storms on the way. Still some squalls in Midwestern Ontario. Stay with us. We're going to talk forecast. Temperatures climbing just a bit as we head past Groundhog Day. I'll put it all together for you in just a few.
Welcome back on the desk with Julie now, and I have to say, looking at your 7-day forecast, at least back at 6 o'clock during the newscast, it is trending in the right direction, I think a lot of people would say, with some more sunshine on those days and warmer temperatures. Not warm temperatures.
Yeah.
Warmer temperatures.
You can take the cold, I think, better if there's some sunshine out
agree
there.
with that, yeah.
So definitely puts a smile on people's faces. And in terms of, yes, temperatures will be a bit milder and relative. A word this time of year when temperatures are still well below freezing, but we're going to battle our way out of the deep freeze early next week, just in time for Groundhog Day. -10 our high today, -18 our low. When you compare that with what's normal, it's cold. -16 the overnight low in London. Midwestern Ontario, -13 along the lake shore, but Mount Forest, KW, -15 to -17. We've been dealing with snow squalls in Midwestern Ontario. Snow squalls continue tonight in through Bruce County and Huron. Another 10 centimeters is on the way. The cold core of that polar air is spinning its way through James Bay, and that cold air continues to move over the Great Lakes. It's bringing lake effect snow. You know how the story goes. We have that cold wind coming off the lake and the flurries continuing. Heavy amounts of snowfall reported again in Huron County. As we head through the overnight, you can see into tomorrow, that one persistent band will keep driving and road conditions quite tricky in that county. London, I'm expecting to see a fair amount of sunshine with just a 40% chance of flurries for your Thursday. So snowfall continuing to accumulate north of London, likely about 10 additional centimeters towards parts of Bruce and Huron County. Grey County as well, in and around Owen Sound, a total of 10 centimeters. But south of that and through southern Grey County, just flurries. Tomorrow, -16 at lunchtime, -14 heading into the afternoon. It is going to be a cold day, but the wind's not quite as gusty through the day. -13 for your Friday, still a 40% chance of flurries, but Thursday and into Friday, just trace amounts of snow expected in London. No big weather systems and no big winter storms in the forecast. Saturday, a mix of sun and cloud, the high -9, -7 with full sunshine on Sunday. Groundhog Day, a 40% chance of flurries, the high -5, and daytime highs ranging between -5 and -6 as we head into midweek with chance of flurries returning on Wednesday. The coldest night will be as we head into tomorrow and then heading into Friday morning. The overnight low is expected to drop down to about -23. So still talking wind chills tonight around -25, so still bitterly cold. It'll be a cold start to the day. Bit of a broken record with flurries and squalls in Midwestern Ontario. Digging out with blowing snow. Please take time and take care on the roads. Daytime highs from -12 to -14. The weekend featuring more sunshine than snowfall. Calmer conditions and much better conditions if you have been putting off some traveling. You can get out there this weekend with some sunshine and snow squalls coming to an end across the area. Carlyle, back to you.
Thanks, Julie. The Great Lakes are rapidly freezing over, which could mean relief when it comes to lake effect flurries through the rest of the winter. However, as Scott Miller reports, that could also mean colder temperatures sticking around longer.
On January 14th, Lake Huron was almost a wide-open lake with about 10% ice coverage. By Monday of this week, Lake Huron was more than half covered in ice, a 45% increase in a little over a week.
We've seen this cold air really over the last 10 days has been significant in terms of freezing. So we've seen these numbers come up drastically.
Cold air blowing over the relatively warm and open waters of Lake Huron has led to a steady stream of lake effect flurries and snow squalls from Midwestern Ontario since really December. So now that Lake Huron is more than half frozen, will the lake effect flurries end?
So anytime you get the lakes freezing over, that will shut down the lake effect snow. Do we see this happening in Lake Huron? No, not yet, but we will see perhaps some of those lake effect snow bands change where they set up.
The Great Lakes as a whole haven't been this frozen over since 2014, sitting at 45% ice cover. Lake Erie is almost entirely covered in ice, which hasn't happened since 1997. Lake Huron hit 55% ice coverage this week, and there's much more cold weather on the way, with below average temperatures through at least the first week of February and some of the coldest temperatures in decades coming up this weekend.
I know everyone looks forward to Groundhog Day because that's kind of like the day where we're like, okay, we made it. But in terms of the forecast, I really think that the cold has some staying power. So models up until about the second week of February are still showing temperatures below average.
Which is a double-edged sword. Colder temperatures freeze lakes, which at least curtails lake effect snow, but frozen lakes also leads to cooler temperatures inland.
As the lakes continue to freeze, we will see conditions getting even colder around the area because we won't have the lakes to moderate. So keeping a close eye for many factors, for the lake effect snow component, for the moderating of the temperatures in the area. So watching the Great Lakes freeze is definitely one of those things where it really has a major impact on the weather in this region.
In Midwestern Ontario, Scott Miller, CTV News.
Welcome back. Finally tonight, a Vancouver-based adventurer originally from London is preparing to row across an ocean. With more on his mission and the cause he wants to support, here's Lauren Stallone.
For rower Kyle Wills, every stroke forward comes with pain, but that discomfort serves as a reminder of why he's on the water.
Back in 2024, my best friend, who I had grown up with for the last 30 years, was diagnosed with an astrocytoma, which is a cancerous brain tumor. And I just thought that what better time to raise awareness and raise money for the cause like that.
Wills is preparing to row across the Atlantic Ocean, alone and unsure when the next wave will hit. A reality for those fighting a brain tumor.
A lot of our community members face overwhelming odds and they have to demonstrate resilience and determination day to day.
Wills, originally from London, Ontario, will row 4,800 kilometers from the Canary Islands to Antigua in the Caribbean.
I just had that gut feeling of this is the next thing. This is what you need to do.
The money raised will go towards the Brain Tumor Foundation of Canada and Toronto's Sick Kids Hospital.
Every child should have the opportunity to have, a healthy, carefree childhood, have fun with their friends, explore the world in ways that I got to.
It allows us to fund research grants and education awards that are really, our goal with those is to find a cure so that nobody needs to face this disease.
The journey is part of the world's toughest Row Atlantic Ocean Challenge, beginning on December 12th.
So I just took the leap and I just leapt into it.
5,000 kilometers all the way across the Atlantic. Thank you so much.
So as Wills sets off for the challenge of a lifetime, he holds his friend close to his heart. Both on different journeys, but neither with shortcuts. Only the courage to keep going, even if the shore is out of sight. Lauren Stallone, CTV News.
And that's it for us. Thanks for watching. For all of us at CTV News London, I'm Carlyle Fiset. Have a good night.